Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news, and Ralf Rangnick is appointing assistants. He's not messing about. He's only been here a few days and he's making changes. Two potential new announcements. Definitely one is coming in as an assistant, Chris Amaz. I'm not going to pretend I knew much about him up until about an hour ago, but I can tell you what he's all about now. Also, we'll be previewing the game for the against Young Boys on Wednesday night, so we can talk about how we're going to line up in that. Bit of sad breaking news here that Phil Jones won't be able to play in this game. He wasn't registered for Champions League squad, and Rangnick even said himself, I'd like to give Phil Jones some game time, but I can't because he wasn't registered. So there'll be no Phil Jones involved in that. But we'll talk about the Young Boys game in a moment. As you can see, there is a predicted lineup there that we could use, which we'll talk about. But let's start off with the breaking news that Manchester United are moving fast to give Ralf Rangnick the coaches that he wants. We saw Darren Fletcher in the technical area yesterday. We saw him talking to Kieran McKenna. With all due respect, those are, well, Darren Fletcher's not even a coach, and McKenna is a legacy of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and even Jose Mourinho. So he's had no touch point with the style of football that Ralf Rangnick wants to play. And if you're a manager and you want to bake a certain cake, you don't want somebody who specialises in lasagna. You know, you need somebody who specialises in confectionery, and that is what he's gone to do. So we are going to go for Chris Amaz, or Armas. I mean, our American friends may be able to add a little bit more to this. His name is Chris. His second name is Armas. Just say arm and ass. I think that's how it works. I don't know a lot about him, but I do know now. Former MLS footballer, former New York Red Bulls manager. Red Bull, remember, this is Rangnick's whole thing. And sacked as Toronto manager as well. I think he was the assistant to, is it Jesse Marsch, who went to Leipzig and has obviously just left there recently. But look, a lot of people are going to start making all sorts of things. And look, people are saying he's crap, this, that and the other. Just take a chill pill. I'm actually very happy with this appointment because when you think about it, Ralf Rangnick wants to play a certain brand of football, and we saw that yesterday. He therefore has to bring somebody in who knows about his brand of football. Now, a lot of people are in long-term contracts. It's December. He's only here as an interim coach. Would you rather he goes to Kieran McKenna and says, look, you can do the job even though you've got no idea what I want? Or would you rather he went and got somebody who knows the system that he wants to work? Now, this Armas is definitely somebody that has had a touch point with Rangnick and the whole Red Bull franchise of football clubs. Obviously New York, and we know about Rangnick's involvement with that, and Salzburg and Leipzig as well. I think it's a means to an end. I think basically it's probably the best person he can bring in who knows his system, who can come in now and implement the system that he wants. And on that front, it's a tick. I think, obviously he's gone and got the best one he can get. And I would rather we brought in somebody who knows how Rangnick wants to work and Rangnick trusts than stick with what we've got. Would you rather we went for this guy, or would you rather we kept Carrick and McKenna and they had to learn? It's like I said last week, Rangnick's got a lot of work to do in that football club, hopefully above him in the board area as well. But with the playing staff, he's got to get the players to play the way he wants. Imagine how hard it is if he's got to teach the coaches to teach the players how he wants to play. It's going to be a lot easier for him if he's got coaches who know how he wants to play, who then they spend their time on the players. So for me, this is a big positive. Look, and also as well, he got sacked as a coach. Wow. Carlos Queiroz is not a very good coach. He was a brilliant assistant coach. Steve McLaren is not a very good coach. He was a brilliant assistant coach. Brian Kidd was not a very good coach. He was a brilliant assistant coach. So, even Mike Phelan under Sir Alex was a good assistant coach and a crap, first team coach. So, wow, breaking news. First team coach is not as good as they were as an assistant coach. I think what we're looking for here is somebody can come in and implement and know what Rangnick wants to do, and this guy is clearly somebody who knows that. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's a positive for me because it's all part of the rebuild, it's all part of the reset, it's all part of the new United, and sit down all those people who think that this is turning our back on our DNA or anything like that. I'll stand by what I said yesterday. I've seen this tweet of me saying this is the best game we've played in years, and it's gone round rival fans and some of our own fans. And the genius of this is that the tweets are time-stamped I tweeted it 26 minutes into the game. I would argue with anybody that first 26 minutes was the best 26 minutes we've seen in many years at United. And we didn't even score a goal, which provides more gravitas, because it was actually the way we played that was impressive. So, look, if we can do that in one training session with Ralf Rangnick on his own, imagine what we can do after 5, 6, 7 weeks of Rangnick and coaches that know what he wants as well. So I'm very much looking forward to it, and I've got no problem with this appointment. And the whole point is trust the manager. How can we as armchair fans sit here knowing next to nothing on this Chris Armas guy and go, he's a failed coach, why is he coming to Manchester United? It's a Ralf Rangnick appointment, and that's what we've been moaning about for ages. So trust the manager. Like, all we've asked for is that the board don't inflict on him failed coaches under Ollie, and they're not doing that. So let's move on. I think we're also linked to somebody else. I don't know whether this one is true yet. The Chris Armas thing is going to be true because Romano's tweeted about it as well. Sasha Lenz, who is a sports psychologist for Leipzig, he's been there for the last 6 years. Again, RB Leipzig, RB New York. You know, Rangnick has a very select group of people that he works with who understand the processes he wants to work to. Now, this has not been confirmed yet. This is coming from German reports, but Sasha Lenz is apparently going to come in as a sort of sports psychologist. He's called like a mental football coach, like, you know, in the sense that he, you know, it's all about sports psychology. So, yeah, it's you know, it's interesting, and it will be. You know, again, another positive. I don't know whether United have a sports psychologist. I mean, you know, we're going to start to understand more things. But Manchester Evening News, Samuel Luckhurst has said that we'll probably learn more about his assistants that are going to come in tomorrow in his press conference tomorrow. But what I like is, look, and you're going to get this with Rangnick, and I was listening to an interview today about this. Very successful man, Rangnick, you know, very wealthy man, but has no time to spend it because he spends all his time on what he does, and that's football. So this is great for Manchester United, and they're certainly, we are getting some of that German efficiency, aren't we? You know, we only won a game less than 24 hours ago and we're already moving forward, because I suppose, you know this about Rangnick, he's driven, he wants to succeed, and there's no time to lose. He's got a very short period of time. Some managers come into jobs in June, they've got 2 months before they kick a ball competitively. You know, Rangnick's having to do this on the fly. Do you think Hannibal will get any Premier League starts this year, says Jack? I hope so. And McKenna and co being anywhere near the bench is leaving a very bad taste right now, like inviting your ex to meet your new partner on your first date, says Chris Ball. And Tornado, thank you very much for joining the Members Club. So yeah, exciting news in relation to the development. We're going to talk about this young boys game in a minute. But can I just be fair in relation to Mike Phelan and Kieran McKenna? At the end of the day, I would imagine that Rangnick would have been really concerned if they'd resigned the same night that Carrick resigned, because he would have virtually no one left. And I would imagine that their help, assistance and knowledge over the last few days have been massively important to him. And, you know, without being disrespectful to them, of course, I think many people would like to see them move on. But in this instance, I think it's really important that they have stayed in the short term. And I'm sure Rangnick will look in the long term in the immediate short term to change them. So, you know, Solskjaer's gone, Carrick's gone. Whether McKenna, I think Phelan will go. I don't see what Phelan offers United long term anyway. But McKenna might survive, you know. And also as well, you know, they are the face of the issues, aren't they? McKenna, Phelan, Carrick, and Ollie. They were a management team, and we knew that. And they all stood there for the pictures at the start, and they got the praise. And at the end, you get the criticism. That's football, but there's a lot of other coaches, you know. It's not just 4 people who turn up and train 40 players every morning. There's a lot of other people there that, you know, we don't know their names, that probably should go. I mean, there was that big list of people, wasn't there, that Ollie brought with him that were all failed coaches here, there and everywhere. Now, maybe they are, maybe they're not. But, you know, there might be massive changes at some point. But also, as we were talking to Incy about this morning, who knows how long Rangnick's here for? So, you know, I think, the more I think about it, the more I think that, you know, if Rangnick does well, I would like him to have it for 18 months, because at least he can start to put things into place. And ideally, you know what the dream scenario is? that you do bring in a Ten Hag or a Nagelsmann in the next 18 months and that you start to build the coaching team that they would like. But Nagelsmann would be very hard from Bayern Munich. I mean, he's got his dream job there, hasn't he? But yes, so Chris Amas and Sasha Lenz potentially coming in. Sasha Lenz as a sports psychologist, but Chris Amas looks like he's going to come in and replace Carrick. Would he therefore be the assistant, or would he be just a head coach? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, very, very good that we're moving fast on those things, because, you know, I don't like the fact that Rangnick is going to be supported by existing coaches who don't know his system. So look, you need him to have those sort of people. So this is the sort of breaking news just in the sort of last hour or so that we're bringing to you, and we'll see how that develops, how that goes. But yeah, let's see what happens. So let's move on to the game. Ralf Rangnick has already said that we will be seeing a lot of changes for this game against Young Boys, and I think we certainly will do. Phil Jones can't play in this game, and obviously we know we've already qualified as top of the group for this game. We can't not finish top of the group. Villarreal can finish top with us, but because of our better head-to-head, we're going to finish top. So it makes total sense to make changes. And I think the brilliance of this game is that if Ollie was still in charge, or Carrick was still interim, or whatever he was, then this game would probably be quite boring, because the football was quite boring under them. And yes, they'd make changes, but you know, it's a dead rubber game. Because this is only Rangnick's second game, and technically it's more of a first game for him because he'll have had more training sessions. He's got no preferred 11. He put an 11 out yesterday because it won against Arsenal for Carrick, and he felt that, you know, they deserved to start. That doesn't mean if you're Anthony Martial, you're Donny van der Beek, you're Nemanja Matic, you're Aaron Wan-Bissaka, it doesn't mean you've lost your place. It doesn't mean you can't win a place. And as we saw yesterday, it's such an energetic way of playing. There will be fatigue and rotation and injury. So, look, everyone's got a clean slate. Some people need that clean slate to be established quicker. You know, Donny van der Beek won't want to wait around another 6 months to see if he can get in the team, but they have got an opportunity. And I think this game against Young Boys, if you are a player that's not been playing much, this is fantastic, because it's only Rangnick's second game, and it's only going to be his second, third, fourth training session before it. So even though it is a chance to rotate, it's also a chance to impress. And, you know, I'm sure people like Jesse Lingard and Anthony Martial, who I think had illness or whatever, they'll be desperate to be back on the pitch on Wednesday, because they will want to show Rangnick what they've got to do. Now, Michael says it's a potentially tough game. I mean, it will be a tough game if we make a lot of changes, but it's an exciting game, because Young Boys are not Shrewsbury Town. They're not shite. You know, they drew with Atalanta, didn't they? And they beat us. But look, to be honest with you, Villarreal scored 7 goals against them in 2 games, and Villarreal, to me, are a bit toothless. Atalanta scored 3 goals against them once as well. So look, I would expect United to win this game, and I would expect us to be able to score a few goals. But making so many changes makes it more interesting. The result will be a win for United, I'm sure. But you know, the Young Boys are not terrible, and that they will fancy their chances in it. I think the interesting thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, but let me just have a quick look at this. In fact. Do they have a chance of getting into the Europa League? Because that will make them come and play a bit of football. So they do. They have a chance of getting into the Europa League. They could, if they beat us and they finish third. So if Villarreal beat Atalanta and the Young Boys beat us, they've got a chance of third. It's unlikely, but it gives them a little bit of a motivation to come and have a go at us. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it, because it is Rangnick's second game, and there will be a lot of opportunity. You know, these players, they don't know they're bench players yet. It is a rotational 11, but how can it really be a rotational 11 when Rangnick's only had 1 game and 1 training session? So there are opportunities for players to impress. And Young Boys, I mean, how much worse than Crystal Palace are Young Boys? What would the score be if Young Boys played Crystal Palace? You'd expect maybe Crystal Palace would win, but not necessarily, you know. So there's not a huge difference. And Lewis Clark says, nice looking team. Martial will be the danger man, and tidy. Should I get tickets for Young Boys? Not been since '07. I know a lot of people are going to it, and they're very excited about it, because it's Rangnick's system. I think we will play a 4-2-2-2 again, by the way. I think this is a system that will benefit us a lot at home against teams like this and Crystal Palace. I mean, this is a system to use when we play Norwich at home, or Burnley at home, or Palace at home, or Southampton at home. You know, this is the sort of system we should be using, where your fullbacks become wing backs, your centre-backs play on the halfway line, your holding two push the press high, and then the front four are very central with the full-backs pushing for the width. Lots and lots of pressure, keep them back in the pitch. So I would expect to see that happen again. It's also been nice if he does play that system again, because those that didn't play yesterday get a chance to show what they can do in that system. So I'd expect Dean Henderson to play in goal. I don't think Dean Henderson is going to dislodge De Gea just very quickly. I'm going to go through each position and talk about whether they can dislodge them, because I think that's very interesting. Van der Beek will start McGee 100%. So Dean Henderson, I think, look, a year ago there was more of a De Gea versus Henderson debate. I don't see that rearing its head again. I think that De Gea is the established number one, and I think that Rangnick isn't the sort of goalkeeper that's going to go with rotation of a goalkeeper. We've heard what he said about the goalkeeper before. The less the goalkeeper touches it, the better you're playing. So I don't think he's massively bothered about that. But obviously, it's a chance for Henderson to show that, he can be a bit of a sweeper keeper and play a very, very high outside his box, which we've seen De Gea do this season. So, yeah, and I think Dean Henderson deserves to start. It's been a shit season for him, to be honest. The mad thing is he would have been our number one, apparently, if he didn't get COVID in the summer. And then you look at how good De Gea's been, and, you wonder how bad the season could have gone for Ollie. It went pretty bad. But look, Dean Henderson deserves a start. I think he will start. Wan-Bissaka will obviously come back in at right back because he needs game time. And at the moment, I would say Delo will start against Norwich. So Wan-Bissaka needs the game time. We've let the competition commence. The same with Luke Shaw. If he's over the head injury, how important is it that the fullbacks provide width to Salah Ahmed? In this system, it's very important. And actually, I would like to see Shaw and Wan-Bissaka play in this game, because young boys are a decent side. And it's their opportunity to show what they can do in this system. So I'd like to see Shaw and Wan-Bissaka start anyway. I'd be worried if Delo or Telles started, because does that mean that they've already lost their spot? So I think I would like to see Delo and Telles for the Norwich game, therefore Shaw and Wan-Bissaka for this game. Centre-backs, look, Eric Bailly's going to play, because you've got to give Eric Bailly a game. He's been very unlucky. And then I suppose you're going to have to play either Lindelof or Maguire, because you can't play Phil Jones, and who else could play centre-back? So it'll have to. Harry Maguire had a bang to the head. I would therefore play Lindelof, but this is the problem at the moment. Until Varane's comes back, we've only got the three centre backs anyway. Midfield, I would expect and hope it would be Matic and Donny. Interestingly, and I say this interestingly, he might not play Donny in that too. I'm hoping he does, because I would like to see Donny pressure Fred and McTominay for a place in those two anyway. But he might play Donny in the next two, which is obviously where Bruno and Sancho played against Palace, and it's where Donny came on for Bruno. So it'll be interesting. I'm really intrigued. Donny will start this game. Where he starts is going to be really interesting, because if he starts in the middle of the 2-2-2, then that means that Rangnick's not looking at him as a holding two. But if he starts in the holding two, let the competition commence between McTominay and Donny, really. So I hope Donny plays with Matic in the two. That would allow Lingard, if he's fit, to play with Greenwood. Now, Mata could play there, Ahmad could play there, but I would presume if Jesse's fit, he will play there, and Greenwood needs game time. So Greenwood came on in that position, so I would hope it's Jesse and Greenwood. And then the front two for me, again, if Martial's fit, he will play. I don't think Cavani's quite back ready for this yet. And I think Alanga, because he was on the bench and came on, I think he will get a start in this game. I think it's logical to suggest that. And I saw Simon Stone talking about that from the BBC today as well. And I'll be very happy with that team. It gives everybody an opportunity who needs an opportunity. You get a young player in it, Alanga playing. Get to see Donny start, obviously. Get the fullbacks that have been our first choice fullbacks an opportunity under Rangnick. And I'd be very happy with that team. And then my bench would have people like Hannibal and Ahmad on it, and if I needed to make substitutions, they would be the player that comes on. So hence what I'm saying about why I'm excited about this game. I think that lineup is very exciting, because it's only Rangnick's second game and everybody's got a chance to impress. And also, there's no need. I mean, look, Ronaldo might start because he's missed the Champions League, and who knows, it might be in his contract that he has to start every bloody Champions League game, and he'd probably want to play in this because it's a couple more goals for him. But to be honest with you, this is if you're not, you don't drop Ronaldo against Everton and Chelsea. If you're going to drop Ronaldo, you drop Ronaldo against this team because we've already qualified, and you rest him. I don't want to see Ronaldo playing just because he wants to stat pad. Like, this is a game to rest Ronaldo and give people like Alanga a start. So look, I hope Ronaldo doesn't start. Do you think first teamers will be on the bench or Mata plus youth, says Plop? I mean, at the end of the day, Do you even need a Ronaldo or a Bruno or a Sancho or a Maguire or a Fred on the bench for this game? You don't. You don't. They don't need to be on the bench, because even if we lose, we're still top of the group. So the United fans are very intelligent. I think Rangnick has picked up on this very, very quickly. And if we lose this game 3-0, no one's really going to give a shit. We'll just go, well, we'll just analyse the performances and go, well, this is why these players aren't good enough. We're not bothered about losing the game. It's about giving people an opportunity. And I think that I would agree with what Tom says. This is a game to give this lot a chance, and then put the youth on the bench to give them a chance as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if Rangnick went with that. The only one player who played yesterday that I think might start, and you could make a case for them starting, is potentially Marcus Rashford, because he's not been playing very well recently, and I don't think it's to do with fitness. I do think it's to do with fitness. I think it's to do with lack of sharpness. So maybe that might be an opportunity to give Rashford 45 minutes somehow. But realistically, I think everybody wants a chance and deserves a chance. And under a new manager, that's what you want to see. So let's see what happens with that. People talking about Chris Armas. Obviously, we spoke about him at the start of the show. Part of the Red Bull group with New York, has a touch point with Rangnick, and looks like he's coming in to replace. Well, he is coming in to replace Michael Carrick. No problems with this at all. I don't know why people would have a problem with it. At the end of the day, it's somebody that Rangnick's chosen. So why do you have the right to say shit? Like, this is an appointment that Rangnick wants, and he did a crap job as a manager. So he will know the system and he'll know what to do. And I would love to see Ahmad get some game time. I really would. But you know what? Ahmad says Ahmad over Elanga. Ahmad was on the bench for the Arsenal game. Elanga wasn't. Ahmad wasn't on the bench for the first game for Rangnick under Palace, and Elanga was. That shows you that Rangnick preferred to put Elanga in that situation rather than Ahmad. So let's see if Ahmad can get involved. I mean, I'd love to see Ahmad involved. I mean, and maybe if Jesse's not fit, maybe Ahmad would be. But I would argue that Martial and Jesse will be desperate to get back, whether they can do or not. They will want to be involved, because if you don't play in this game, when do you get a chance between now and whenever? I mean, this is the last opportunity for a lot of these players to get some decent game time and impress the manager, apart from training. Because, all right, Norwich next Saturday, that'll be the first team. Brentford away, that'll be the first team. I don't know whether Brentford is away, actually. Then you've got Brighton, again, difficult game, first team. Then you've got 9 days off until we play Newcastle. So there are a lot of games over Christmas, but there's also a big break. So, this is a big opportunity for everyone. Do you think that Rangnick would identify one of the midfielders in the youth setup and give them an opportunity? Maybe a return clause for Ghana, says BGT. I'll talk about that in a moment. Some are better off as assistants than as a manager. Quares came back from a Madrid manager to assistant. Sir Alex Mullenstein failed as a manager. Saineth, the words you speak could not be true, any truer. The reality is, football history is littered with failed assistant coaches who tried to become managers. I mean, Steve McLaren, he was assistant manager at Manchester United, did very, very well. Wasn't a very good coach. Most of our assistant coaches have not gone on to be successful, and yet they were very good assistant coaches. So and I think Rui Faria as well. There's loads. There's absolutely loads. So you can't go dismissing this guy that Rangnick's bringing in because he didn't do very well at New York Red Bulls as a manager. Like, he will know the system Rangnick wants to play way more than Mike Phelan or Kieran McKenna does, or Michael Carrick would have done, and that's the most important thing for me. So yeah, we go. And yeah, the sports psychologist that we're going to bring in from Leipzig, apparently, it's all part of the Rangnick plan. If whatever he thinks, if he thinks that they need to put two socks on their left foot and one sock on their right foot because it's worked at Leipzig, then try it. The whole point is let him be in charge and let him do what he does. Was Phelan even there yesterday? I don't know. I didn't. I know Fletcher was there, and I saw Rangnick talking to McKenna a lot. I didn't see any shots of Mike Phelan, to be honest with you. In relation to James Garner, Forever Gucci says he's better than McTominay. I mean, he scored a goal over the weekend, didn't he? He's on loan at Forest at the moment, and they really like him there. My thought is that you don't bring him back, even if you can bring him back, because we need to bring a midfielder in. I would like to see. I mean, I'm very interested in this Leipzig guy, the midfielder from Leipzig, because he's 23. He's got a release clause of 33 million, and speaking to people over the weekend who watched a lot more of him, they're like, well, he'd be perfect for that, to play next to Fred, basically. He's got a lot of energy, he's got good passing, and he would do that job really, really well if he could transfer it from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. I think United need to go and buy somebody. Hadara, isn't it? Yeah. I think someone like that would be perfect. I mean, Jimmy Garner in the future could be a really good player for us, but I think United need to go and buy a midfielder. The reality is, though, the club might say we're not buying anybody in January because Rangnick might not be the manager in the summer. But I think that would be narrow-minded by the club, because ultimately we should have bought a midfielder for Ollie in the summer. Now, what Ollie's involvement in that was, I don't know. I feel that for the last 2 years we've needed a holding midfielder to play in that sort of holding midfielder role, funnily enough. And I really prioritised that in my mind at the start of last summer. I was like, well, Varane's nice, Sancho's nice, but we need a holding midfielder, and we never got one. And we spent a lot of time talking about it, and a lot of you wanted a holding midfielder as well. So the club cannot go to Rangnick, I'm not getting you a holding midfielder in January because we don't know whether you're going to be here in the summer. We need one. We know Pogba's going to go as well. Matic is going to retire. We need a holding midfielder. So the bottom line is, go and get the best midfielder you can get in January, if you can get them. So that to me is really important. And I think if you want to go deep in the Champions League and you want to ensure you get top 4 football, then that is an area that could cause us massive problems. And whatever you think about McTominay and Fred, McTominay is quite injury prone over the last 18 months. He does go through periods where he's out for a couple of weeks. Well, what if you did lose him for a couple of weeks? What if you did lose him for a couple of months? Or what if you lost Fred for a couple of months? We're not stacked with people in that area. So I think January is very interesting. People talking about De Jong. No, not going to talk about it. Not interested in it. Don't think it would happen. Think it's a load of nonsense. Massively important player for Barcelona. Don't think United would be able to do that deal in January. Maybe in the summer, but I think that sort of conversation belongs on the back of certain newspapers. I don't think it belongs here to seriously discuss it. No. Hi Mark, if the club don't want to, I mean, I'd love De Jong at Manchester United, and maybe we could do something about that in the summer, but I'm not going to start talking about it in January. They'd want a lot of money. They don't really want to sell him. We're a serious football club now with a reset. We're being professional. I don't want to dwell on hypothetical, sensational stuff that's probably not going to happen. If it does happen, we'll have a party, but I'm not going to start. Let's. I'd much rather talk about the Leipzig midfielder than De Jong, because that's more realistic and doable. The minute we start going back to De Jong, we're back where we were 6 years ago when we had a bad result and we're buying Bale. Like, that's the sort of spin that we want. I don't want any. You know what? For the last few weeks, we've not really been talking about spin, and Manchester United over the last 8 years have spent so much time on spin. Like, it feels like under Rangnick we've stopped spinning the plates and we're actually just behaving like a professional football club. Let's look at it pragmatically. Is the lad from Leipzig realistic and good value for money? Yeah. Is De Jong realistic? Probably not. Like, let's start acting like a bloody football club. Hey Mark, if the club don't want to buy players for Ralph because of his 6-month contract, would Ralph basically have a say in all the signings after, says Akil? Well, yeah, potentially he would have that. He would do. But we need some clarity at some point over the next few months as to what Rangnick's consultancy role involves, don't we? So yeah, I will be on Twitch at about 3 o'clock. Yes, I know a few people are asking. It's back today. It's Monday, so 3 o'clock on Twitch. United Stand FC coming towards the end of the season. Let's see if we can get in the playoffs. I certainly think you make a good point there as well, Anwar. He's saying that about the style of football, the style of football that we're going to play. We do need to bring in fresh legs some way. Any loan players that you think Rangnick will keep? Says Steve Locke. And I mean, I'm just trying to think who's on loan. I mean, Chong. You might have a look at Chong if he didn't have the injury. Chris Amas set to join United coaching staff from Mark Hickey. Slow Sports News! Mark Hickey, Slow Sports News. Chris Armas set to join United on coaching staff. Yellow tie. Jim White, Slow Sports News. Mark, remove your head from your arse. You're 30 minutes too late, mate. But thank you very much for the super chat. I love it when people do that. We've literally spoken about him twice in the last half an hour, but Chris, thank you very much. You're a legend. Palestri. I suppose Palestri's on loan. I mean, he was on his way out. I don't know why we bought him in the first place. Chong was doing well at Birmingham, but again, he's got a bad injury, so he's not going to get looked at till the summer. Garner's doing well, as you've said. Laird at Swansea. So there's Twansebi. It's not going great at Villa, to be honest. So I don't know. I mean, you just don't know. This is the exciting thing about having a new manager. You just don't know what's going to happen. So Phil should play. Mark, clean sleep for everyone. He can't play. You've not watched the start of the show, have you, Kush? Another one. Slow Sports News with Kush. Phil Jones to start against Young Boys. No, he won't, Kush. He's not registered. He can't play. He can't play. Brandon Williams at Norwich, yep. Yeah. I mean, look, I think somebody just mentioned, what about players leaving? Jesse Lingard's out of contract, basically. Paul Pogba's out of contract, basically. And Donny van de Beek wanted to leave, basically. So, 3 players there. How many of them will go? There are more. There's more. Martial's been out of the team. Matic hasn't played. Henderson, we mentioned him. So, there's a few players, but it depends whether they're going to get used or not. I mean, a lot of people have spoken about the energy of Jesse Lingard, and Rangnick might like that, but is he going to start many games for Man United, even if Rangnick likes him? Is he going to start ahead of Bruno? I don't think so. Is he going to start ahead of Sancho or Rashford or Greenwood? I don't think so. So that's what Jesse should have done in the summer. Not thought, I'm going to be a Man United first team player. He should have realised he was always going to be a bit part player, and he might have left. He's got to realise that again. The promises you get made by a manager, what is the detail of that? Am I going to be one of the first names on the sheet? No. Well, he needs to go then, doesn't he? But he might believe again, oh, this is a high-pressing team and I'm a high-pressing player. But will you start? That's the thing that Jesse needs to establish. And if it's not going to be the case, he needs to go for his own career. Clicker, thank you very much for becoming a member. And any update on Varane? No, not at the moment. I am doing an Everton versus Arsenal watch-along tonight at 8 o'clock. Thank you very much for reminding me, Rihan. Hopefully Everton can get a result there and we'll stay above them. But that means we're going to do the show a little bit early tonight. It's at 7 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock. And we've got Ricky on the show, so looking forward to that. See what Ricky Rangnick assessment. Donny up front, played false 9 for Ajax at times, says John. Well, we'll see. Will be interesting to see if we do the 4-2-2-2, in which of the two Donny plays. Hopefully, I hope he plays next to Matic, because I think that's where he can work his way into the team. But he could play in the middle two. Somebody just said there he could play in the front two. We'll see wait and see what happens. Anyway, I'm going to be playing a bit of FIFA on Twitch with my United Stand FC side, where Goldbridge is up front and top scorer at the moment, but we're not in the playoffs, trying to get promoted to the Premier League. You can join me on Goldbridge TV at around 3 o'clock. I'll be tweeting off at Mark Goldbridge. Please smash a like on the video. We are back at 7 o'clock tonight, not 8 o'clock tonight, because I am doing Everton versus Arsenal watch along on That's Football. Exciting though, United moving quick, Rangnick moving quick, a new assistant coach in, sports psychologist coming in, talk of other coaches coming in, a massive game on Wednesday in relation to chances for people to impress, and another get a chance to watch Rangnick's system develop. So thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all in a bit.